Hello and welcome to another episode of On Fire here on Daily Mirror. I'm Easwaran Rutnam. The Northern Province has and continues to be a very sensitive topic. A lot of issues that take place in the North concerning the Tamil community has been discussed widely both in Parliament and outside. Jeevan Thiagarajah was recently appointed as the Governor of the Northern Province, and he joins me on the program today. Governor Thiagarajah, welcome to the program.
Thank you and good morning.
Morning. Governor, let me just start off by asking you, what made you accept this very important position in the North?
Okay, I've got a very odd response. I was already serving as a member of the Election Commission. I just finished about 11 months of a potential, 5-year term. Now, serving in the Election Commission is pretty much public service, very much public service. So I'd already kind of got into a public service role. And when I was asked to switch my job, it was essentially an extension of another public service role. The back of it is that, without being arrogant or egoistic, my entire working career from 1983 has been about contemporary history, which is about the contemporary issues which you just spoke about in the introduction. So I would be a complete idiot if I haven't learned something about what went on and should have or could not have happened in the last 3.5 decades. So trying to deal with the job of a governor was not hugely challenging, let's put it that way.
Do you see a lot of issues that still require serious attention in the North? I mean, we see a lot being highlighted in the media, especially the Tamil media. And sometimes we hear people saying that, these issues are not really factual. Now that you are, on the ground there in Jaffna right now as well, as we speak, do you see some of these situations actually taking place?
Yes. Answer is yes. There has been, let's put it this way, there have been issues and the issues have remained inconclusively. Now, the reason it was inconclusive could be very many, could be different factors. But whatever it may be, there are issues to be dealt with, issues related to the citizens on the ground, issues related to commerce, issues related to investors and investments, issues related to members of the public service, be it education, health, environmental issues, drains which look utterly and absolutely filthy and unattended and clogged up, mosquitoes who take the life out of you most of the time of the day. Yes, there's a whole bunch, a whole array of stuff which needs to be dealt with.
So that would give the impression, Governor, that successive governors have not really really looked into these issues.
You see, I was asked this question sometime back. Governors come and go. Governors come at a particular time and leave at a particular time of time. Let's put it that way. I won't say history because we're talking about a 10-year horizon. So General Chandrasiri came in at a particular time. Reginald Kure came in at another time. Palyakara came in at another time. Suren Raghavan came in at another time. Charles came in at another time. Each had a moment of time to deal with and issues of the time. Now, I don't know what and how what the environment was. What are the tools that were at their disposal? And I can't get into their heads to understand how they looked at it. So I wouldn't really comment on what they did or did not do. I can certainly tell you what I will do.
But do you mentioned that you don't know if these governors had the tools or what sort of tools they had. Do you have the tools that you require to address focus areas that you are looking at?
Absolutely. See, I have asked for the fine print from the Attorney General. And I've actually said, look, who in heaven's name is this human being, the governor? What on earth can he do? Why is he able to do what he's supposed to do? In the meantime, pending all of that, the persona of the office of the president, it's a he for the time being, has directed 9 to go out and work as his governors. So the persona of the office of the president should be playing the same role, broadly speaking, at the provincial level. I do have a letter for a variety of different reasons, which is dated 2nd December from the secretary to the president, pretty much telling me, you just kindly go and do your job. And he's informed several people, this chap is going to do his job, kindly support him.
And does that include the military as well? Because that is one of the most sensitive issues there, that, the military administration gets priority over civil administration.
Perception. Everybody looks to see, the strengths and weaknesses of their manager. As far as I'm concerned, there's one constitution. We work under one constitution. The military has one commander-in-chief. That commander-in-chief happens to be my appointing and dismissal authority. And I do regularly meet with the security forces and the police together in one space. We talk the same issues, we conclude on the same issues. Likewise, the administration.
What are the main areas that you will be looking at during your, at least the immediate, immediately what would be your focus area?
So the raft of issues, Easwaran, in fact, this morning, I've been sort of developing things day by day as it keeps coming. At a macro level, I'm drawing on the best known possible advice that I can draw on in areas of health, education, sports, environment, water, agriculture, poverty, right away. I've got most of it up and going. We have a very exciting trust coming in, combining water, environment, and agriculture. And there I've invited the army also to be a partner. It is more than likely that Governor North Central Province, Mahipala Herat, who has loads and loads of experience as Chief Minister, as now Governor, the two of us will definitely work together. And the two of us we are likely to reach out to Governor East because I think we are contiguous. And for example, we'll look at food security. It makes perfect sense for us to. And if the three of us work together, I think we can hold food security in the country. So that's on that respect. I'm seeing a whole bunch of sad, unfortunate pending issues of discrimination faced by public servants at the low end. And the biggest mistake we made is that we just keep on going around like a merry-go-round. Somebody comes into the province and goes around in circles for several years. So you're in one position for 5, another one for 5, and you just become completely anesthetized to public perception. Then you become friends with each other. Then the friends run the province, which is garbage, to say the least. So this garbage has to be shifted out. No more merry-go-round and self-circling, self-interested human beings looking after themselves. There are also accusations which is subject to proof. Let's say the province has annual floods in the same place. The accusation is that it's extremely profitable when it floods for those who are supposed to intervene when it floods. A massive accusation. I was told that there was an estimate for 73 million for X, and that 73 million was dealt with 12 million. So it seems very profitable to have flooding, for example, which is there are no nice English words to comment on it. Well, there's going to be a 24/7 ops room which deals with impending floods, early action, natural disasters, but also to me, poverty is a disaster for the human being. Want is a disaster for the human. When I say want, many basic wants, that's a disaster. We wish to be able to listen, respond, and act rather very, very fast. So we're trying to, well, not trying, we will definitely stitch together that kind of response mechanism. The other one is that we are going green, and we're going green heavily. We attach a premium to our greenness. Investments would be, rather unusual, let's put it that way. We're going flat out for investments, but it doesn't mean that, S320s and BMW 7 Series will be running and the poor will remain poor side by side. That is an outrage which I do not wish to see. So when we develop an area, the people of the area also go up. That's one. But also investment doesn't mean that you pay money to shift one file from one desk to another, or the private dealers do their little thing and bring. So corruption basically is not a language which can be spoken in this province, at least to the extent we know. Illegal stuff like grand sand mining and all that kind of stuff, they'll have to go and do it somewhere else. That's not going to work. Violence is a no. We could have, Jaffna could well be the first cycling city. I think Colombo took on that particular title, but we wish to be, close second to Colombo very soon on that. In a place where, well, once the Jaffna Cultural Center gets up and going, it will be great fun. I mean, I think I'm not going to achieve it, but I wanted the Chennai Musical Festival to be beamed down so that, we can kind of get that going. But the Jaffna Cultural Center will be up and running very soon. Poverty is a difficult one. Underemployment is a difficult one. But we can't say difficult and look the other way. We'll deal with it. Getting pre-existing people with pre-existing skills to be recognized, which is, I'd love to see the day farmers, fishermen, artisans, volunteer workers who work for, donkey's years get NVQ2. We can be really, really proud of that. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going in there. Preventive and curative healthcare, talking to each other. So I was at one of the hospitals yesterday, and so before people line up in the OPD and things like that, we want to look at the basic physical profile of every person before he or she becomes a patient. So ICTA is going to give us, by the end of this month, e-health profiles of every person. And what we would really like is that, people with cancer don't have to go 8 hours just to go and get their thing done. People with kidney dialysis, who are badly dying or walking or whatever, don't have to, go miles and miles and hang around and come back. So really a little bit more caring. Agriculture, as I said, will be given a premium. Poverty, education with a whole new approach to that. We've also got, disappointingly, we basically fortify ourselves in Jaffna and starve the rest other 4 provinces, districts. So it's kind of, we take care of each other, and then the rest of the 4 can be sort of, somewhere in some slum. That's going to stop. That we are not going to do that. I'm really not going to have that going on here. So a time of change, time to care, time to be criticized if you miss it. Now, there are 1 or 2 areas in which I've been asked, what about this and what about that? And I say, yeah, certainly. I would say yes to that. Be open to conversation, talk to people, take them into confidence that this is public service. Kind of bringing about a bit of a sea change. Of course, this place does protest. People line up, which is good. For the time being, they are unarmed and not with any rocks or anything far more sinister. They do protest, but I must confess, protest, if unattended for too long, can lead to something more serious. We shouldn't get there. And my final point is that we want to be a province which welcomes people to be a second home for them. Now that's arm load, because why would anybody come to a down and out, crappy, hardly functioning joint? So can we really reach up and give service standards which are so attractive that people really want to keep coming back? That's the direction we're going, and we want to really, bluntly spoken, we want to make money for this place. We want to invest in this space and let it rise. And it's a combination of the strategies used by Singapore and the kind of development Malaysia has seen.
Something that has been spoken of in the recent past has been about the security issue in Jaffna. There have been reports of the group named AWA operating around the Sword Group. And then there's also, in some media, we see reports coming up of possible LTT elements moving around in the north as well. I mean, do you hear these sort of reports? Do you think that there is a security issue still remaining in Jaffna or in the north as a whole?
Yeah, blunt, candid. We have a contraband broadly, specifically the ganjas and the whatnot. So this is the kind of the landing point and the road route to the rest of Sri Lanka. That's factually correct. We've also got kind of a fondness to promote extremism. So you might say, churches go and pray somewhere else. This is not a good idea. I don't think we should be praying here. So that kind of crap is also promoted. So religious intolerance is there. People, we're trying to push the envelope on such thing. And without branding any particular agency, forms of violent extremism, which may have ceased to exist in the country, live in other countries offshore, which have roots in the northern province. And those roots are active, are supporting. There are undial transactions, and these conversations are going on. It's very unhealthy. I'm being rather sort of kind by saying it's unhealthy. It doesn't have any good intention whatsoever. So it's there. There is a perception. There is a threat, no doubt about it. And until that threat is there, I think the security forces will keep their shutters up, no doubt. The fourth dimension is this, this whole, AWA was a name, and it became a fad, Bollywood style, seriously Bollywood style. They've actually turned out all manner of ornamental swords and all, designed it and customized it. And evidently some of these guys, when they go on the road on a mobile, they'll drag this little sword looking thing on the ground, so sparks fly. It's a whole bunch of movie stuff going on. Of course, jumping into houses, karate kid, chopping a few hands, and that's gone. That's really gone. We met with families of those who were accused. There are some inside. Some think that they have a life here. Until they meet with a flat no, I think they will continue to try. But this kind of swords and customized daggers and things like that, no, I think it's goodbye time for all of that stuff. The instructions are very strict. Of course, money changes hands, so there's sometimes nexus between crime and law, which you can't micromanage all of that. But the policies don't even think about it.
So are these, in something that's been discussed on social media quite recently is the presence of security checkpoints in the north, and some are saying that these are required because of groups like AWA and possible LTT elements in the area as well. What is your take on? I don't know. You're on the ground there. Are there so many checkpoints as people claim to?
There are checkpoints that I say yes, but let's say, without commenting on other parts of the country, don't you have sudden checkpoints in the city of Colombo in the middle of the night and all over? Just as you round the bend in Colombo, you're confronted by a checkpoint. There are checkpoints, but I would say that if you really want to sniff out people who shouldn't be doing things, they're not going to come and say, did you see my badge? I'm a member of this. No, they're not going to do that. So I think you need to use a lot of early information. Let's put it that way. You have to be extremely, you have to be very smart about the use of information. And like an analogy would be, let's say, if you see the convoy, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom going on the road, you wonder where is his security? How come? There are a few cars and some bikes running around. It's saying something more. I'm also saying something else here, that in confronting some of these things, that you use other methods which are not necessarily visible all the time to confront it. But the optics are, I presume the optics also have a role to play.
But you're saying that, in essence, you're saying that these checkpoints are not really required.
I'm not saying that. I just said that the optics are necessary. Necessary. You see, the optics are necessary. But you're not going to be carrying a sort of armload of gelignite with you as you go down a motorcycle on the main road, right? But it's also about saying, law and order is watching you. We are watching you.
But does that also spread a bit of a fear psychosis in the north, especially for people coming from outside? Would they worry that, so much presence is sort of not stable?
I hope not. I hope not. That's the way I put it. But I think the proof of the pudding is how many buses do this night run. There are buses doing a huge run. In fact, I was quite astonished that they were doing runs during so-called lockdowns as well. How did they run? I really don't know. But they're running constantly, absolutely constantly. The positioning of the checkpoints are such that you can't be driving through those checkpoints without being stopped. I have made my observations about the practice as these checkpoints. Let's put it that way. I have clearly indicated my observations on the checkpoints.
An issue that has been there since I think Sri Easwaran was appointed as the Chief Minister of the North is that the Provincial Council doesn't work well with the existing governor. How is I mean, I know you had met Easwaran, of course he's not Chief Minister now, but you've met, I mean, how is your dealings with the Provincial Council? Do you think that you can work with them to address some of the core challenges, core issues that are existence in the North?
We have to. Simply because I think whatever our personal characters, personalities, preferences may be, we have to work together. We are meant to work together. Otherwise, simply put, we'll be in violation of the Constitution. We'll be wasting resources. We will be critiqued and criticized largely and loudly by people for being completely non-functional. So I don't think most of us want to be critiqued for being completely incompetent and non-functional. Now, how do we get this going is an interesting challenge because people are coming with their political constituencies. Each want their lion's share of the pie, not an equal share, but a lion's share. They want to be the majority owner of the pie. So that's where the tension begins. So I'm assuming for now, governor is functioning without a council. If and when a council comes, the governor would be the kind of the referee, third umpire, disciplinary committee, that kind of stuff. and gently march everybody in the same direction. There will be tensions, no doubt. But I'll have to work, well, if I'm there when the council comes, that we try and do this in a civilized way, without kind of hurling things at each other, throwing books or rocks or chairs.
Have you got offers from the diaspora to work with you? I mean, one of our recent interviews, the Tamil diaspora mentioned that there's a lot that they can do for the country, not just the North and East, but for the entire country, and they would like to, work with the administration, provided that some of their conditions are met as well. Have you got any offers from the diaspora to put in investments for the North?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They are coming, they're talking, but it's fascinating. So in fact, I had a very robust conversation last evening from a person who has worked in Far East and things like that. He said, look, I wasted 10 years. He said, I'm an investor, I want to be. And I said, no, you can be an investor, but you can't be there. We also have certain interests about your investments. So it's interesting because investors say, look, I'm putting my money, I want 100%. I'm saying, yeah, you're putting your money, but why don't you will have to work in terms of our own sensitivities. But people are. Now, everything is not about money. People are giving, saying, we want to give you time. We want to invest and help the people. There's a flood. It's coming, through the door window and through the ceiling at the moment.
And
people are talking.
Right. And apart from investments, also the idea of bringing back the Sri Lankan community in Tamil Nadu was something that, even the former governor had been looking at. Is that a process that you're continuing? Are you setting the groundwork for Sri Lankans to come back and settle back in Jaffna?
Yeah, I can now speak publicly of the fact that I have got the clearance to write to Chief Minister Stalin. So I actually did a draft and I got the clearance for the text. I'm looking to find ways to ensure that he gets the copy of the letter fairly quickly. And one of the areas which I'd like to discuss with him is to enable, and this is subject to everybody else agreeing, that Sri Lankans who are refugees in Tamil Nadu get to come here, spend some time, maybe let's say 2 years, and see if it works for them. If it works, stay. If it doesn't work, that they have a right to return to where they were as well. So yes, answer is yes. And before they come, we really like to help them to prepare, identify where they wish to be, where they were, where they wish to be, what they wish to do, what are the essential services they require. There's absolutely no doubt we will very soon. No sooner I get across to Tamil Nadu.
Since you mentioned Tamil Nadu, I mean, what is India's role here in developing the North? I mean, I know India has a housing project going as well. But apart from Tamil Nadu, have you also had any discussions with the Indian authorities by way of looking at, putting in more investments for the North?
Yeah, just to put it in perspective, the incumbent governor was appointed 11 October. We are on to 12 November, I think now, or not 12, whatever the date is today. It's not 12, I think. December. So it's about close. It's close about 60 days. I met the High Commissioner for India, I suspect, twice, if not 3 times. I met his representative in Jaffna several times. We've just discussed a whole raft of issues. They're interested in looking at certainly from continuing where they left off on the KKS Harbour, Palali, and they're saying, what else do you want by way of assistance from India? So be it management, some of the finest management schools in India for our public servants here. Education, what can we do? Can we produce, let's say, vegetables and the kind for the South Indian market? Can we invite investors? I believe there was a fairly significant person who met with persons in Colombo. He wishes to bring people from Southern India, investors, later in the new year. So there's a lot of ideas now being generated. There's interest. We need to really nail down the specifics. It's not. Sorry, we've got our High Commissioner in Delhi. We have a diplomatic station in Chennai, and I think in Mumbai as well. So subject to what they're doing as well. And our finance minister was in Delhi recently. So there is definitely a surge, that's the way I put it. There's a surge and a potential to really up the, tempo very soon.
Finally, Governor, the human rights issue takes center stage every time the North is discussed. Families have disappeared are looking for answers. Families of those killed during the war are looking for answers. What do you see yourself doing to address some of these issues?
Sure. I don't claim to be the front end of the enterprise, simply because we have, and this is not ducking it, We have what is called a unity cluster. You've got the Office of Missing, Office of Reparation, Office of Reconciliation. So ONUR, OMP, and reparations together. They have a scintillating policy, to say the least. They need to now make that real. We've offered, and they're embedded, and they're running their policy through our system right now. So we're dealing with it. Now, we need to show integrity and credibility and responsiveness. So it's really up to them to present that. There is no shortage of support from us to do that. One of the members of the co-chairs, there are only 2 countries in the contact group of co-chairs on Sri Lanka and Geneva. I forgot which term is it. We've met him here as well. We've invited engagement. We want to talk to each other regularly. They have very kind, very helpful ideas to us saying, do you realize what 2022 is on this subject? What are your plans about that? I gather the foreign ministry is also doing certain things. So that we are alive to the need to be responsive and to conclude and to do things.
Right, Governor, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for taking time to join us on this program.